Welcome to Write Your Narrative, your weekly go-to street art podcast.
There's just so much culture and life in South Florida.
Art helped me find myself.
I can sit here and complain that Miami doesn't have any of these things, or I can find a way to do it.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
We have changed the conversation. You're in the right place.
Hi everyone and welcome to Write Your Narrative. We are today in some secret location. And today we have a very, very interesting guest. Someone that I've known for quite some times now, probably over 12 years. And he has a huge project that he's been working on since 2017, I believe. And my guest today is RA, Mr. Sergio. How are you today, Sergio?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. So, talking about huge project, I've known you, I've met you the first time you were an artist in Wynwood, trying to do your little thing, but then, like I just mentioned, in 2017, you really started a huge project, aWall. So the project is called aWall project. So if you can tell us a little bit about it, and we're going to go with all these artists and all your people that you bring on.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the project aWall Mural Project started in 2017. It originally started with just a group of artists, and we kind of wanted to do our own thing. I know there were certain projects out there that were helping to bring up communities, just trying to turn blight into beautiful things.
Yes.
So we kind of wanted to do our own thing. We started in Bird Road Art District. We had a couple help from local businesses there. We turned like an old art district that was full of graffiti to have some murals to kind of represent that art community there. And the project's just kind of grown throughout the years. This year will be our 8th annual project.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And every year, we're trying to outdo ourselves. So this year we're doing 3 schools, simultaneously within 1 week. The project starts December 1st. The last day is December 9th. It correlates with Art Basel.
Yes, that famous Art Basel that we always talking on the podcast, which is the Miami Art Week, but we love to call it Art Basel. Art Basel started actually in 2002, and since then, Miami has become a really art platform. I mean, everybody comes from the whole world to paint and to bring some art, fine art. But in the podcast, we are here talking about the street art. So in your project, you bring a lot of street artists from all around the world.
Yeah, that's right. We have people from every continent. We've had people from Africa, people from Asia, people from Europe, South America, Central America, North America. I think we're only missing Australia.
Oh, there's no Australian artists yet.
We got to get an Australian out here.
But you also work with the local guys because, this started as a local art project.
Yeah, that's right. The first project was mostly local. Every year we try to include some locals. I know it's kind of hard because they all have their own thing going on during Art Basel. So it's kind of hard to grab them. But we really try to work with locals. This year we have about 3-4 locals working with us.
But what's really interesting is that you bring, of course, you give some work to the locals, but then you bring all these new people. And it's always a breath of fresh air. And we got to discover, and the kids got to discover some new artists. So who are some of the artists that you're going to be bringing this year?
This year we have, she's from Amsterdam, Nina Palirosa. I don't know if you heard her, but like a lot of artists love her work and stuff like that. So we're kind of honored to have her here. We have a couple people returning from last year. We have a couple people returning from a few years before. I would say majority this year is a lot of new people. I think it's exciting because I get to meet some of these people when I go travel for my own personal things, and I see their work and I'm like, wow, how do people not know you outside of the local community? Yes. So it's kind of nice to give them a platform to kind of branch out from what they're doing locally. And I think that's kind of one of the most exciting things about this project is, we work with people who have, let's say, 1,000 followers, but their work is just amazing. They just haven't had the opportunity to get out there. And then it's kind of nice to see them grow throughout the years. We've worked with like one of my friend Kevin from Flint, and it's just been nice since we worked with him in 2020, and he's just, blossomed and his career has just grown, and it's kind of nice seeing these people grow. Nice. Stephen Teller from St. Augustine, same thing. When he started with our project, he was only brush. He got so inspired by seeing all these people work with spray paint, and I feel like his career just taken off from all the inspiration that he got working with that project.
Correct. So, So what is actually the mission of that project? You're working strictly with schools right now, as of right now. So is it hard to get through all this, I guess, all that paperwork stuff? I'm sure there's some challenges.
It was a little harder in the beginning because they didn't really know who we were. We don't have anything to prove what we could do. So it was kind of like them just having blind faith on us that we would produce what we meant to produce. And I remember the first project when people started doing the doodle grid. I would get a call from the principal and be like, this is not what I signed up for. What is this? You know?
I can't imagine.
Yeah. And I was like, just give it a couple hours, give it a couple days, you know, and you'll see. It's just a process.
It is a process which for the kids to watch when they walk back to the school and when they walk in the hallways, that must be, even the adult don't even know the process. So, I mean, that must be something pretty interesting, that interaction with the children in the schools. You work strictly with the elementary school or middle schools?
We work with any type of school, elementary, middle, high school. This year will be the first time we do a high school, which is kind of exciting because it brings a new age demographic and stuff like that to it. But going back to the mission, you know, it originally started to inspire the kids. A lot of schools, depending on their fundings, they usually have art once a week, maybe twice a week. So we wanted to bring this project in a way to kind of bring more art to them, to enrich their life with more art, to get inspired. I found art in second grade, and it's helped me a lot through my life, you know, through mental health, certain crisis, stuff like that. And it's an escape.
It totally is.
Some of us can't take vacations to escape mentally, you know, so art, music, or writing, even they say journaling, you know, it's a good way to vent these feelings. So to us, it's very important that these kids, their lives are enriched with art. Also the staff, a lot of the staff, they come in, they come out, they leave drained. So a lot of times it's like seeing like murals and seeing people take this initiative and show that we care and the community cares and we're giving back. It kind of lifts up everyone's spirit that's involved.
I'm sure. And then it makes the school so much more alive.
Yeah.
I mean, those gray walls or yellow walls that they have, the schools, so it's like, okay. So I'm sure that the kids, when they, especially since you're going to be painting during Art Basel, when they come back after the holidays, they're going to be discovering the walls. And sometimes I'm sure some teachers are bringing the children to see the art and meet the artist also, which is something probably very interesting for the children to see the process, how it's done.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the project. We always do it during school hours, you know, so then that's more hurdles, you know, that we have to take. But, you know, it's a lot more fulfilling at the end of it. We do host workshops. This year we're hosting 2 workshops. One of them is a mural workshop. So we teach the kids from beginning to the end. So they get to see the sketch, how we are managed to get that little small sketch on our iPads to this large scale. You know, and they get to see the whole process, you know. Hopefully maybe one of them gets inspired and is like, you know what, I could do this. And they go out and they become like the next big thing here locally.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes, that little spark.
Yeah. And the other workshop we're doing is we're doing a shoe painting workshop, which Angeles Direct, who has sponsored us in the past, is helping us again with this workshop. We're donating about 50 shoes. And we're painting them with the kids. So, you know, the kid says, I like basketball, you know, we're going to try to make these custom basketball shoes for them so they could take home, as well as donating all the supplies that we're using.
All right. So, I mean, talking about supplies and funding and everything is probably your day-to-day, I mean, hurdle. I mean, you have to run after this. How do you manage to get to this?
Yeah, the funding has always been the hardest part, but I feel like, you know, you just put your trust in it and you just throw it out there in the universe and eventually, you know, something comes up. But every year that's the hardest thing. But luckily, I've been very fortunate to meet people throughout my path who are also passionate about the project and they see the good in it. And they themselves have reached out and helped out with their, you know, contacts and stuff like that. Like a lot of the people I've worked with, they're not gatekeeping, you know, they're like, hey, look, I got this guy who could probably help. And it's kind of been like that. It's been kind of built by the community, by the artists themselves, local businesses, some other businesses that are not here local, but they see the value in it.
They see the value. There's definitely a value into this project. This project is probably something that it's done all over the US and I'm sure in France too, but in Fort Lauderdale, my son has done a couple of projects too. I believe, to my knowledge, what really sparked this that type of a project was the road project that Robert did in Wynwood. It started, I'm not sure about the year, but it started before aWall project. And he's been through all these quests for money. Were you inspired by this project, maybe?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I take inspiration from everything that I see and things around me. Robert, I remember when I first started my first project, he did reach out to me and he gave me a couple of advice. And he's been pretty supportive. But I think like our missions are a little different after speaking with him, and like we have different goals, but ultimately it's all for the children. You know, it's all for the community and stuff like that. The way that we handle things are a little different. I try to focus more on involving the kids in workshops and hands-on and stuff like that. Like I said, he has a different mission and goal in mind, but definitely Robert was a big inspiration. He was the first person that I knew that was doing something like this here in Miami. So you kind of get the inspiration, you get the blueprint, and you kind of make it your own thing.
Oh, of course you make your own thing. What was very interesting in his project, not to take anything away from yours, but there was no art teachers at the time in Wynwood, in the art district in Miami. So this is what that was really his ideas, to bring some art, and eventually, as we know, all the schoolings, all the fundings are getting cut right and left and left and right. So the kids are very often not even aware of the art. There's no art program or a music program in some of the schools. So this was his take on. So, but I'm sure every community, every school will find a different angle to go with the kids. At the end of the day, this is for the kids. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yourself, you have a daughter who's maybe, is she in a school where they have beautiful murals or something?
Yeah, actually we painted my daughter's middle school.
All right.
In 2021. She wasn't going at that school at that time. But now that she's in the school, she walks and she's like, yeah, my dad did this. He was a part of this, My mural's in the cafeteria, so every time she eats in the cafeteria, she gets to see me.
Oh, even better. It's such a sweet story.
Yeah.
Totally sweet, knowing that your daughter goes to one of these schools. So
yeah.
So 2024, like we said, it always takes a village, the funding and everything, but you need some support, and then you need some partners, and then you cannot be everywhere at once. So who's in your team?
The team always changes year after year. Eric Harbling did help out a lot in the second, third year. And then other people started volunteering their time. Right now, currently, my friend Brian, Chaotic, a lot of people know him by, has been helping out the last couple of years. And then we always get volunteers too. There's a girl, Sarah, from Ohio. She always drives down and she helps out however she can, doing coffee runs, giving artist rides from here to there. I have local friends too, also help out, like, hey, does anybody need a ride? I'm available today, stuff like that. But pretty much the logistic falls on me. Somebody has to be responsible for everything,
Yeah. But it takes a village anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It does take a village. I mean, like you said, there's so many components going into this project, from ordering the paints, from getting the sketches, from getting the approval from the school. Do artists go to some approval with the school principals usually, or they tend to be kind of a little more free? They have to understand that this is in the school, so they cannot do anything they want. But usually, do they have some kind of a freedom to do whatever they want?
Yeah, the artists have complete freedom to do whatever they want. Obviously, it does have to be approved by the school board, because at the end of the day, it has to be right for the kids. It has to be age appropriate. There's certain things we have to evoke, certain feelings,
Yeah,
positive.
Of course, there has to be some guidelines, yes.
So they do go through a curating process that me and the school sit down and we go through the sketches, and, they either approve or deny. We do background checks to the Miami-Dade school systems, just to make sure everything's okay. And then the school themselves set up certain safety things. Usually, like when we check in, we have to get the little badge. They have a list of people who are coming in, so they know who to expect. They designate certain areas just for us, like a specific bathroom, so we're not using the general bathrooms. We have our own restrooms, break rooms, stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's a pretty big logistic behind all this.
Yeah, and they always have the school police on, they notify them too that we're coming, who's coming, so it's big involvement, and safety has always been our big concern.
Absolutely. You don't walk in and out of a school like this, just like this. Okay, I'm going to be painting a wall.
Yeah. So that's why the last weekend, of the project, we host an open house, which we invite anybody to come in and check out the work, because that day the school's closed. We invite the family of the kids, the teachers, anybody in the community, and also photographers, other artists, artist friends, their family. They could come in on Saturday and Sunday and look at the project.
So you mentioned the kids being involved in some of the projects. Have you ever had some of the parents also involved?
Not really.
Not really.
The most they've helped out is probably through their PTA, through donating to the PTA to the schools, and then they're helping out, with whatever they can with the funding, supplies and stuff like that. We've had some parents come in and maybe provide meals for those artists.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But, we always welcome anybody to become involved.
Sure.
They're welcome to come in.
I'm sure. Bring some cold water. Just bring a case of water. Anything that we need. I mean, as we know here, it's pretty hot in Florida.
Yeah.
Have you actually painted yourself in a school? You say your daughter was in the cafeteria in one of the school?
Yeah, I paint every school. I usually pick the smallest wall, and I'm usually the last one to paint. But, I leave my mark in every school as well. This year, I'm actually excited because we're painting Southside Elementary School in Brickell. That's actually the elementary school I went to, and that's the first time that I was introduced to art.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of like a whole 360 is all coming back.
Yes.
I'm able to give back to the
coming
school.
full circle, yes.
Where it all started, so it's kind of exciting.
You do mostly stencil art? You still doing this? This is more or less what you're doing? Yeah,
I still do stencil art, not as much as I used to. A lot of times it's time consuming and sometimes time is money. So, I've learned how to, just from watching these artists, from all these projects I put together and also all these mural festivals I go to, I've been watching people do their thing. I learned how to do the doodle grid. I remember one time I was forced to do it. The stencil broke, the projector wasn't working, and I was like, I can't just sit around and do nothing.
Nope.
So I kind of forced myself to learn the doodle grid, and it's been evolving. So
it's been evolving, yes.
Yeah, I think like every artist, we all evolve to some point.
You have to just to create more and more and more. Just the creating process brings you and force you, yes, to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
That's something definitely we need to expose to the world. So, you brought the project outside of Florida as well, the aWall.
I've tried to. We've had a couple attempts and it's been kind of hard. We have partnered up with other mural projects and kind of helped them do it in other cities and other states. But us officially, we've pretty much been here in Miami.
In Miami?
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere else in Florida or just Miami area for now?
Yeah, just Miami area for now.
Here anyway.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we've done a couple schools like in Broward. We did a school in LA, but it wasn't through aWall, but we partner up with those nonprofits, and we kind of help, maybe curate. We kind of helped with like materials, like what they need, what to expect, stuff like that. Some of the logistics, but
and bringing your knowledge too.
Yeah,
helping people, laying a helping hand.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times it's helped out our own project down here in Miami. For example, when I did the project in LA, we painted a school in LA. I was able to meet the Contact for Liquid Death, and they've helped us out for a couple of years. So like I said, you give a little, you get back some. So and that's kind of how this project's been.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just reaching out to everybody and then holding hands together and making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about just talking about it. It's just making things happen.
Yeah.
And definitely now with the 45 artists you said this year you're going to have?
Yeah, this year right now we have 45 artists.
With three different schools?
3 different schools, correct.
What a night.
No, and they're all over. One is Sunset High, which is, closer to Kendall. We have Madison Middle School.
Far south, yes.
Closer to Hialeah. And then we have Southside, which is in Brickell. So we're all over this year.
You're all over this year. So yeah, that'll be not too many hours of sleep for the next 3 weeks, probably.
Yeah, but it's like that every Basel.
It's like that every Basel?
Not just for me, but I feel like every artist, everybody who comes to Basel's, like there's so much to do and so much to see. Everyone's like, man, I only got like 2 hours of sleep, and there's already something the next day.
Yeah. We'll live for that. Course, and then the week after our Basel, like mid-December, we get the holidays and everything, and everybody goes home, and we here say, okay, we'll left alone with some beautiful walls, which is awesome. This is awesome. I mean, Wynwood comes to life. Every Art Basel and the whole community, the whole neighborhood, and all Miami. So that's really, really, really something fun to mention.
Yeah.
So with these artists, do you sometimes organize some art shows, or do they get to bring some art, or you strictly do murals with this project?
We have in the past. We've done a couple group shows. We partner up with a couple galleries, and we've done a couple group shows. We did one in 2017, 2018, but I kind of feel like it's a lot for me to handle.
Because what more?
Yeah. And I'd rather put all my focus into the schools. We've done like artist parties where there's live paintings, and we auction out the paintings to help out the artists with funding or funding with the project. And like I said, little by little, we've kind of been refocusing and putting our priorities more on the workshops and the actual school project. We still have our artist parties, and we try to find opportunities for artists, even if it's not through the project. Maybe we could get them a paid mural while they're down here, stuff like that. But like I said, little by little, my focus has kind of been shifting more toward the schools.
Toward the walls, yes. So, yes, it's always fun to recognize the artists, just to have a good time, because Art Basel is a big party. Everybody's working hard. Hopefully, we're going to have some beautiful weather this year. Some years have been pretty challenging. So what was maybe the biggest challenge with one specific mural? Do you remember something that was really challenging in one school? Something that was maybe not well received after it was done? Have you had to do such a thing where everything was really planned? And
for the most part, with the curating and the school deciding what goes up on the walls, it's helped out prevent any of those type of issues. Most of the issues we've had were, I would say in the beginning, mostly with the logistics. I would rent the wrong lift, and we would get stuck in mud. Yeah, we would have to figure out how to get it out. But for the most part, a lot of people in the community have helped out. I remember the first year I rented a couple of scissors lifts, and when we needed boom lifts, and we still try to drive them through the mud, and they got stuck, and we had people in the community who were like, I got a truck, I'll help you pull it out, Those are pretty much the most difficult things, I feel like, when the equipment is involved. Yeah. Last year, same thing. We had a lift get stuck. We ordered the wrong lift. It didn't get all the way to the top like we anticipated. We had to return and get another one. We kind of lose a couple of days on that, but I feel like every year we're learning. It's a learning process.
I'm sure. This is when the logistic come into place, just to try to plan everything and eventually have a plan B if necessary.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go to school. You got to get a layout of the school. You have to figure out what are my entrances, what are my exits, how can I make this work, and what's the best tool for each job. Like I said, that comes with experience. The first time I did this, I didn't really have much experience with some of these heavy equipments, and I thought maybe we just put a piece of wood and it'll be okay. The wood would break, we got stuck.
Yeah. So how many artists are you going to be flying into town this year, or how many artists are flying for the project? You say most of them.
Yeah, most of them are from out of town. We're only working with a few locals. I know in total we have 45. Just have to figure out where everyone's coming, when they're coming, stuff like that. I'm still working on it.
So talking about the locals, who's local artist is going to be painting this year?
We have Nick Chink.
Okay, Chink, yes.
Yeah, Nancy.
Absolutely.
Myself. I'm not sure. I got to go through the list, but we've worked with a couple of locals. We've worked with Carlos Solano, Eric Harbling. He was a local, but now he moved to Hawaii. So we're always trying to incorporate locals. Like I said, I reach out to locals. A lot of times they're busy because they have their own things going on during our Basel.
Yes.
We always welcome locals. Our doors are open. As long as the sketch gets approved, you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Yep.
All right. So this is definitely a big part of what you do in the community, and I thank you, and we thank you. I'm a father, so we thank you for all these beautiful things that you, your team, and the people are doing in general for the school, for the kids. I mean, this is something to be recognized. I love to see.
Yeah,
I love to see. All right, so Sergio, this is the time we have today for this podcast. Thank you very, very much. So just to remind listeners, the project starts on December 1st.
Yeah, and it goes through the 9th. Our open house will be December 7th and 8th.
December 7th and 8th.
Yep.
So we're going to put all the informations on the website, on on the podcast, there's always links to everything, and of course on social media. So you actually have someone who covers the social media for you this year? You got a photographer, you said you got to be...
Yeah, we have a videographer coming out from Sacramento, Sly. He helped us out with last year. I met him actually in Wide Open Walls. He was their videographer. So like I said, it's been like the community just helping out. We try to help them out as much as we can, and, you know, they help us out as much as we can. You know, we've partnered up with a lot of good other festivals and other people doing these same things in their communities. And we try to find opportunities for the people who help us out as well. Partner up with Wide Open Walls. We've had some of our artists go over there, and they've sent some of their artists over here.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all this work, all these years that I've known you. It's amazing to see that Miami art community growing and bringing these beautiful projects to completion.
Yeah, thank you Pascal, for everything you've done for us locals here too. You know,
well, I'm trying to do a little bit of my little part, yes, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy.
But, you know,
that
goes
makes
a long
my
way.
day. That makes my day. It's just like, it's so much fun. I love sharing too. So you sharing with your art, I'm sharing what I can with the voice or with the magazine a few years ago, and we go on like this.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much again. Have a great day.
Okay.
Well, so thanks everyone. We'll see you next week on the next episode of Write Your Narrative. We'll see you soon. Thank you again.